Welcome you to today's show, the New Life Recovery Show. First name's Donnie, last name's Glover, in it to win it for the long haul, baby. We have a very special show for you today, and we're going to talk about West Baltimore. And to do that, we have with us the woman, the myth, the legend, straight out of Sandtown, with the No Boundaries Coalition, Ashiah Parker. Good afternoon. How are you today?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
So, how have you been, Ashiah?
I've been good. How about yourself?
I won't complain. I know Saturday I was in your building there at 1505 North Utah Street. It was quite possibly the most beautiful demonstration I've seen in some time, the second one actually, when it comes to the development, the economic empowerment of West Baltimore, the West North Avenue Development Authority, Chad Williams and company. They've done a marvelous job bringing together the people from north of Mount Royal all the way up to Walbrook Junction in your building.
Right. Yeah. I didn't make that one, but I did sit on a panel for them during National Placemaking Week on Thursday. We talked about food access along the West North Avenue corridor. So they're doing their best to make sure that when redevelopment happens, the community is a part of those conversations and that the right things are being considered during that process.
So let's talk about that. How important is food security to No Boundaries?
Oh, it's very important. It's one of the stakes in our organization. So we have a food and health justice program here at No Boundaries where we sell fresh fruits and vegetables at the Avenue Market. And we also use that as a platform for workforce development for young people that are 18 to 24. So it's a couple of things, mindsets to go along with the stall, not just selling fresh produce, which is very important because it's the only place in there that sells anything fresh, but also a sense of community. So we try to host things there so the community knows that's a place they can come, even if it's just for like a conversation, because I don't think a lot of the vendors are trying to have a conversation with you about what's going on in the community or just how you're doing. So the people that are in the stall are always open, what's up? What's going on in the community? How can we help? Also showing the value of the food. So a lot of times people are like, why do y'all charge for the food when X, Y, and Z are giving it away for free? And we had a conversation, with Chad's group around that. Number one, the stuff that's coming in is a lot of times rotten when they're giving it out. Or people are getting it, throwing it away, or just don't know how to use it. There's no value proposition made with the food. So we like to teach our community that investing in yourself and in your health is valuable. And regardless of how you are financially, we all have means, even if it's bartering, to eat and have healthy food. The other thing about it is the mindset around eating healthy. There's been plenty of studies to show that when your brain is operating off a healthy diet, you're more calm, you're less stressed, you're probably less to lash out at a person or to have conflict. So having students in school who have healthy diets can equip them to learn more. Having just citizens walking around, we could have better conversations and better engagements as community members if we have healthy, nutrient dense foods in our system. So those are kind of our mindsets and our training around healthy food and No Boundaries.
If I think better, I do better. So when you look around the community and you see what we have in Sandtown, Santa Maria's,
Mm-hmm.
over by the police station, Western District Police Station. There's a sub shop along Pennsylvania Avenue. A couple of Chinese spots. I know the Muslims. I believe they're Muslims, right opposite of Upton Boxing. They're eatery there. What I'm getting to, there are not a lot of fruits and vegetables in our community.
No.
So if I'm eating Cheetos for breakfast, now latest for breakfast, I'm drinking a lot of Pepsis, or I'm going to the liquor store because there are quite a lot of liquor stores in and around Sandtown. What does that do to the overall health of the community from your perspective?
It just deteriorates it. So those fast foods, they are not. Food is fuel for our bodies to run. Food is medicine. It can be, it's joy. Because a lot of times if I say, hey, brother Donnie, let's get together, I'm gonna say, can we go to have lunch, or can we go to dinner? So it's a tool that we use to break bread and to be on one accord with one another. So if there aren't places to get healthy things, it kind of perpetuates a cycle that our communities are already in.
And what is that? Let me go back to Freddie Gray. What do you think Freddie Gray did to the people starting right there where it happened in Sandtown? What do you think went through the minds of the elders, of the working adults, of the students, of the babies?
You mean when it happened? I think it was a lot of anger and a lot of, I think this and again, I'm a younger person, so I don't want to speak out of turn. For me in my generation, I felt like it was that point where people was like, we're tired and we're going to have to make a change. And then you see it a couple of years after with George Floyd, when it was nationwide. When after that happened across the world, it was like, no, we're going to have to make some changes. So I do think after Freddie Gray, people were fed up from young people. That's why part of why there was an unrest. It was the young people who rose up and said that enough is enough. So I think people were tired and wanted to reimagine what this thing called life in West Baltimore could look like.
And so what did you do?
What did I do? So right at Freddie Gray time, I lived in the community. I was not associated with any community group, which I tried to become associated. I went to one group and I had a young child at the time, probably like 7 or 8. And he went with me to one of the meetings and he's like playing his game. And they're like, if he's going to like make a sound, you're probably going to have to take him out of here. So never went that.
But you got to paint the demographics in the room of 100 people.
Oh, yeah. It was not 100 people.
No,
it was probably
of 100 people, of 100% of the people, what percentage were Black?
Out of 100% of the people, I would venture to say 100 were Black, maybe close to 90% were Black, and they were all over 55.
Interesting, because the first No Boundaries meeting I went to was at St. Peter Claver.
That wasn't the group I'm talking about. The first meeting but the first meeting I went to in the community was at the police station.
No, the No Boundaries meeting.
Oh, the first No Boundaries meeting I went to.
Yeah.
Yes. So the first No Boundaries meeting I went to, I'm assuming at that time they had relationships with Build. They had relationships with Habitat for Humanity was really big in the community at that point. And yes, it was a cross section. I would probably say, I don't know, maybe half and half.
No, I saw a majority.
You think
white,
it was?
And they were not talking about Freddie Gray. They were talking about being protected. They had a totally different mindset than did the Black people who were speaking up about stop the police violence.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, lock them up. And that's when me and Ray Kelly had our first
Yeah,
interaction.
but I mean, I'm glad we've done so much work. And when I say we, just the people, activists in Baltimore who have done work around police misconduct and reform. Since then, it's been almost 10 years and it's been a lot of work done. But those people are still around. The people who want just mass incarceration or think that locking up people will make things better in the city, that's still around. That's still a thing.
Yeah, my first interaction with No Boundaries was quite different. What I remember seeing at Lillian Jones Recreation Center was a sign on the wall, and the sign said, if you had a problem with police brutality, call this particular lawyer. The name
Right.
escapes me now, but
Susan Burke.
yeah. And I did call that number, and it just wasn't what I expected to hear. I figured
Mhm.
there was no boundaries. You're talking about coming together to help empower the community, not with a legal angle.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I know about that project, but tell me what that phone call was about.
Now you're talking about 9 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
All I can say is it wasn't what I was expecting. It was a lawyer's office, and this sign was posted up, and I'm thinking it's going to be community oriented.
So let me tell you what it was. So that was a commission that
And I
was
push
Mhm.
black business and black lawyers, J. Wendell Gordon, Billy Murphy, uh, Warren Brown. So I'm feeling particularly offended that in a 99% black community, I got this non-black lawyer, you know,
Yes. So
ambulance chasing in my
let me give
neighborhood.
a disclaimer. I was not in leadership at that time.
No, and I've only
I
liked
was,
it since you've gotten
yes,
there.
I was just coming in and joining and finding out what's going on. So let me tell you about the project and then I'll tell you how the lawyer came about. So the project was the commission. I don't have the exact title. I still have the report though. I can send it to anybody who's interested. But it was like the West Baltimore Commission on Police Misconduct. That was the spirit of what the title was. It was a combination of lawyers and researchers from UMBC to come up to take stories and come and use data to come up with a report that would then we could use with the city, with the police department, and with the DOJ so the community could have their own perspective on what was to happen next. The lawyer lived in Bolton Hill and was willing to use her time, her resources, and all of that for free to get this project off the ground. So that's probably part of how the lawyer came about, because remember, No Boundaries is a coalition of 7 neighborhoods. Bolton Hill is one. So at that time, I think she lived in Bolton Hill, and I believe she was on the board. So that's kind of how the partnership came about with Susan. But that report again, I still have it. I can send it to anybody. It came out. It was published in 2016. That report was later used to help with the consent decree. So it
I can't say that I fully understood nor
Mhm.
understand that.
Yeah, it did.
The, the consent decree, what I saw was it opened the floodgates. It was where the police responded by not showing up anymore.
Yeah, but that was on the police in Baltimore City. That's not on the consent decree. So the consent decree was a document, let me finish, that basically outlined what the citizens' rights, what they already should have known, was around policing in Baltimore and how they should get on track. The problem was it was so different than how the police department was operating at the time that it was almost like I can either hit you in your head or just don't talk to you. Like I don't understand how to approach Donnie and say, "How you doing, Mr. Glover? How are you? What's the problem?" Or I understand it. It was almost like it couldn't be a connection around community policing or even like civil rights and policing. So yes, in the beginning when a consent decree came out, it was a lot of backlash around it, and it was a lot of things that was going on. But fast forward almost 10 years, I think it's better. I think it's
We
they've
see the
gotten their
change.
way a little bit.
It
Huh?
was there's definitely been progress. Legends comes to mind.
Um,
I watched Lawrence Street be neglected by whomever for a long time. And what gets me, even still today, the police fault legends. If I'm running a business in the community, I'm trying to run my business. But a part of their business, because of where they're located, is battling drug dealers
exactly. Yeah.
every day, all day. And they call the
Every day, all
police,
day.
they call the police, and then you got a problem. Because the
Right.
police, they're going to come there for a minute, and then they're going to leave. And then
Hmm.
when you close up shop, them boys outside, if they haven't already communicated with you, it kind of reminds me of Mayor of Kingstown. I don't know if you've ever seen that show,
Uh-uh.
but where the criminals run the asylum.
Yeah. I mean, I think we had this conversation before when I had my storefront on Pennsylvania Avenue. It was the same exact thing. People shooting dice on the front, just out there. We're in there working. They out there all day playing music, cussing. They using a bathroom right in that little alleyway. It was just a mess. And basically, when there was conversations with the police, it was more like you're the owner of that space. It is your duty and your job to manage that space. And that was I know that was the perspective they took with me. So, but I mean, I can understand where the owners of legends are coming from, but ultimately somebody was killed from their building. It's a repercussion from that. If people are in your store and they shooting out killing people and you can't control what's in your store, it might need to be shut down for a little bit.
Someone was killed inside of Legends.
Wasn't They shot from inside of Legends and killed that young lady?
Somebody who worked for Legends, or a drug dealer, or
A
a
drug Well,
criminal.
I don't know if they were
Uh,
selling
uh,
drugs. It was a person that was in the store that had
that's
a
where the young
gun.
lady,
And yes,
the one that got killed, she ran into the pole.
yes, it got caught in a gunfight. So people on the market lot shooting at people in Legends. And unfortunately,
And that's
when
you think that's the business owner's fault?
I don't want to say it's the business owner's fault, but it was one of those things where it just couldn't be controlled either way.
But this is at a time too when police regularly sat in cars on the Avenue Market parking lot while the boys across the street hustling. And as long as nobody got killed, the police didn't do anything
Right. I mean,
for a long time.
for a long time. I don't agree with that. Like for me, so again, the first thing that would come to my mind, and probably anybody just trying to use critical thinking, is y'all need to clear those corners, right? Nobody should be standing up there.
Then the consent decree, a lot of people would say,
That's
but
what
the
I
consent decree said I don't have to move nowhere, and they didn't move. And that's
that is
where I was frustrated with the consent decree. This cat is loitering. Lock him up. He don't want to
yeah.
move. Give him a
So
chance to
what
move.
so what happens is like, Mr. Donnie, are you buying something? Yeah, I'm waiting for my food. Okay. After you get your food, I need you to move on. Or Mr. Donnie, I just need you to move on. I've been sitting out here for the last 15 minutes, hour, and you've been sitting out here. They'll move on and then they'll come back. I mean, the people knew the schedule of the police. They knew the schedule. The police sat there from this time to this time. Then they had to go to lunch or they had to go to the bathroom or whatever. Like they know if you're out there watching just all, that's the problem. It's hard to police when you have people that you're watching 24 hours a day. So a quarter, like,
Babysitters. Oh, the police were adult babysitters.
That's right. There's people that you're watching all day, all day, all night. And just like the police are watching them, they watching the police. So they know every break. They know if they get out their car to chase such and such, then there's nobody there, right? Or if they go get out their car to investigate whatever, is nobody there. And there's other, so yes, they might be on Pennsylvania Avenue, but they have other details. So they might have to stay right there at Pennsylvania and Lawrence for 2 hours or hour, whatever. But then they have to go up to Pennsylvania and Baker. When they move, just going through their corridor or whatever they call it, then the people are back. It's just a, it's
Cycle.
yeah, it's just a cycle that's really, really, really hard. I mean, it looks better up there. It's still not what I would like it to be, but it definitely looks better up there.
There's no eateries. Avenue Market closes 5 o'clock promptly. No
Right.
food. I think what's the Save a Lot down at Pennsylvania and Dolphin. Then there's another Save a Lot or whatever it is over here on McMecken Street. But in that
Mhm.
immediate vicinity, a certified, bona fide food desert.
Absolutely.
Now, I will say, shout out to former Officer Chuck Lee,
Mhm.
Officer Evan Anderson, Officer Iris Martin. When they
Yes.
were stationed inside of the Avenue Market, you did not have that foolishness. Now, we have to be realistic. Pennsylvania Avenue has been known for heroin for a long time.
That's right.
And I reference the show Mayor of Kingstown. I don't know that we will ever stop drugs. There are too many
Right.
people who profit from it. Black, white, Asian, Latino. Too many people who are part of it coming into this country and into our community. Too many people. I remember Chief Ed Fox, formerly of the Baltimore City Police Department. He did the first wire, and they traced the drug trail, money trail. The money trail went all the way to Wall Street. And now they legalized, since then, marijuana has been legalized in Maryland. So something that Kurt Schmoke proposed when he was mayor, and this is prior to 1999, was the legalization of drugs, or at least the decriminalization of
Right.
drugs. And on top of that, I think it was Kurt Schmoke, 99, that was his last year, who was the last one to actually invest in Sandtown. Millions came through him, the Enterprise Foundation, Jim Rouse, Patty Rouse, but also resources to stop. He was the last one, I was going to say, he was the last one to try to do something with the Avenue Market. So I blame the city. I blame Baltimore Public Markets. I think when you look at Northeast Market over in East Baltimore, where Jack Young is all the time, that's a real market.
That's what they
Avenue
say. I've
Market,
never been there.
the Avenue Market, the former Lafayette Market, many of us in West Baltimore went there as a child. There were businesses everywhere. And so a part of the challenge is the neglect and then, the decadence that has happened over the years. So I just commend you, Ashia, for being there and doing something wholesome. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we gotta stay, right? We have to keep pushing forward.
How do you keep pushing? How does it ever wear on your mental? I mean, this show is about mental health, the mental health of our individual and collective. How does it weigh on you? How do you wrap your brain around some of the stuff you have to deal with, including employing our people?
Yeah. Not just black people, brother Donnie. Come on.
One of the comedians say black people the only ones go to work, say, I ain't working today. I'm on break. I'm paying you, but you're gonna tell me what I'm gonna do.
That's right. So I'll tell you, somebody asked me, what's the best thing you like about your job and what's the worst thing you like about your job? And I told her that the best and the worst are the same. What I like about it is it's more just my life. I'm in the community. and I'm where I live. I'm raising my children, and I'm working to uplift our community. The flip side of that, that's 24/7. That's 365. That's all the time. So a lot of people who run different organizations and different corporations, they come into the city, they take their pictures, and then they go out to Howard County, or they go out to Owens Mills, or they go wherever they're going, and that's it for them. They don't have to deal with that. They don't have to see that in their personal lives. But when you're here and you live in a community and you're working, that's all the time. So I think it can be heavy. I think how I deal with it is exercise. I'm a runner. Therapy. I have a therapist, and I tell her all of y'all business. I was just like, nah, 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 nah.
I've
But
learned if
no,
your therapist don't have a therapist, you got to get a new therapist, because therapy is about dumping and
that's right.
relieving ourselves mentally. Because just like you got to clean out your cache on your computer, we got to clean out the brain. We therapy helps us to process life, which can come at us real fast. I
Real
got to
fast.
ask you, what about our young people's mental health?
Yeah, I
13-year-old
mean,
girl gets killed in front of Lillian Jones Recreation Center. Witnesses all around.
yeah, and they never solved that.
How does that weigh on our young people, on our babies?
It weighs on them a lot, and I don't think that we count it right, because we'll say he a hardhead. He ain't paying attention in school. He not listening. He can't learn. We speak all of these things over young people, but a lot of times they just carrying a lot.
Of
So much
trauma.
trauma. That's what I was gonna say. It's so much trauma, and it's so many things that they see, and it's so many things that we expose them to. So we definitely, now we'll say this, we definitely, as Black people, Brother Donnie, need to normalize, you know, what's your self-care routine? What's your mental health routine? Having somebody to speak with, and just taking that time to check in to make sure you are where you're supposed to be, and not normalizing trauma, and not normalizing, well, we live in the hood, like all of that kind of stuff, because kids are kids, and
How is it? How do you do that as a parent?
well, it can be hard for some parents, because sometimes it breaks down to access. It's a lot of people that may not have access to therapy, or
Or
even
they
how they were
don't know
so.
they have access.
That's right. And even how they were socialized. It's parents who are like, we don't do therapy, or we don't need to seek help. We handle our stuff ourselves. Um, so,
I've heard it from
it's a.
Black people. I've heard it from white people. But yet then one of them does get therapy, and they thank God that they did. Because
Absolutely.
at home, there might be this stigma, like you just said, we deal with it ourselves. When, as we have evolved as human beings, as Americans, we know you better have yourself a damn therapist. I got several.
Oh, shoot.
The madness we deal with, from politics, elections, the police, the education system. I love this Black governance, no question. I'm a big fan, big supporter. But I can't ignore the fact that historically, I'm not at all laying this at his feet, but Baltimore City, Prince George's County school systems, the two majority Black school jurisdictions in the state, are at the bottom.
At the bottom.
And when I see Santa Lisa on television, ooh, everything's wonderful. If Fox 45 over here shooting darts, parents don't feel empowered. I often wonder if Baltimore City public school system was majority white, would white parents tolerate 70% graduation rate? Or would they be more light on it? Because
They
Baltimore
probably
deals with
could.
segregation. The black
That's
L,
true.
I mean the white, the black
The
one,
white, yeah, the white owl.
and the white L.
Hmm.
We
I don't
we
know that it. I don't know that it's a race. I don't know that it's a race issue. I think it's a class issue, because it's even that same way with Black affluent people. They're not going to send their kids to Baltimore public schools. They're going to send them to private, or they're going to
I'm
make
saying
sure they.
I think poor white people would speak up more
You
because
think?
I
Because they
do.
here, they they in the
Yes,
city.
they here. Let's talk about it, sister. I'm glad you said it. This is a great segue for the second half. I've lived in Sandtown since '92. I've been taking piano. I took piano lessons there going back to 1972. My dad was a funeral director, so that whole 1300 block of Calhoun Street, where Kelson Funeral Home used to be, uh, we never saw white people like this. That's happened since Freddie Gray. Police don't say nothing no more. Before Freddie Gray, you let a white addict come to that community to cop dope, police would check him right down Pennsylvania Avenue. I've seen it. Sir, get back in your car, leave the vicinity. But then they tell me people go on their phone, they go to Google and Google where's the best heroin in Baltimore. And it brings it
Absolutely,
right back.
Pennsylvania Avenue. Yes, but I mean, the thing, I don't think you see so many white people because they driving in cars. They live in the neighborhood.
Yes, they are. And squatting.
And it's a lot of like transitional homes. It's a lot of stuff going on right now.
I don't like it. I don't like, I mean, because now we got to re-educate a whole new demographic as to what culture is. For instance, I don't know, sir, we don't shoot dope in public.
Absolutely.
My God, I'm walking to the Avenue Market and this guy's just sticking a needle in his ankle and his foot. And it's like, sir, you need to take that somewhere else.
Right. I think that because we're in a challenged space now, people think they can just do whatever. And I'm like, okay, listen, our neighborhood might not be where we want it to be, but we still are not going to condone just anything. And I think, yeah, and I think that goes for anybody, Black or white, because it's like, oh, is this Sandtown? I'm just going to pull up my junk and leave my junk, or no, we don't want that. With like just dumping off it's like a place where you can just dump off the people that other people don't want. No.
Illegal dumping.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about the people. I'm just like,
they come in they come in slumming.
Yeah, like, such and such neighborhood doesn't. Yes, such and such neighborhood doesn't condone that, so we're gonna go where they condone it. We don't condone it either.
No, we don't.
So it's having a conversation with landlords. It's zoning. Like, we want more families to live in our neighborhoods and less institutions popping up. It's just a lot of work, but I'm proud of you because you're working with the new group and a lot of things are shaking, and we're moving. Yeah, we're moving forward on some of that stuff. But that's what it's going to be. It's just going to be a fight. Like, hey, although this is what we look like now, we don't want it. It was the same thing. We had that back in the day. We had to fight against the city because the old Pennahues, they kept on using it as a homeless shelter.
Yes, Mayor Catherine Pugh. I don't care about all that other stuff, but you flipped that and you didn't even ask.
Yeah.
And since we're putting it out there, back during Freddie Gray, Stephanie Rollins Blake had Inez on television. She lives on Fulton Avenue in the Winchester part of Sandtown, Winchester. And she had this white guy, Mike Barb, representing Sandtown. And I'm saying to myself, what kind of tomfoolery is this? We don't have an indigenous Sandtown voice representing our community at City Hall.
Mike, that was the guy I was kind of speaking about earlier. Wasn't he a Habitat guy?
Habitat guy. They got rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there since 92. Sir, I don't know you, sir.
Guess what? Today is my anniversary. It's been 19 years since I bought my house in Sandtown.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. June 10th, 2005. So I've been here building ever since.
And that's something that a lot of people don't know that I try to tell them, especially as these conversations about the Incoming Salvation Army program at the former Pender Hughes, is that we have homeowners. Sandtown is just not vacant houses, renters, undereducated, underemployed. We have homeowners. When you come through, I call your community the county. When you come through the county, you got lawns, straight blocks with no vacants. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Not just there, the garden that Dorian is doing across from Morton's funeral home and other people. Tell me about the community heroes.
Man. Okay, so before I get into that, what people don't know, it is a ton of just homeowners and middle class people in Sandtown. If you just walk through there, I mean, I had my neighbor is a banker, worked for MeQ for over 30 years at federal government, working for Toyota, all of those things exist in Sandtown. Business owners, construction people. I mean, you wouldn't know it because those people are kind of holed up in their house because there's so much stuff going on. They're going to work and coming home. They're going to the grocery store and coming home. So I'm hoping with this new, revitalization of community coming together, that we can just get people out their house and we can get people to care.
We didn't really even mention COVID.
Yeah,
but
COVID.
You've alluded to that. I mean, that's a part of people being barricaded in their homes, right?
Yeah, and just because it's so much going on outside, I don't even want to be bothered with that. Right? I'm going to work, I'm coming home.
And that's dangerous. If we put our head in a hole, that's like the ostrich, right?
That's true, but we also got to have each other back. It's not healthy for Mr. Johnson to be out there by himself trying to get drug dealers and stuff off his property.
I'm not doing it by myself. They move on my block. A new lady just moved in. I let her know the score. You need to watch your alley. You need to watch your corner. You need to use your phone. Because if you think they're your friend, they are destroying your property value. I tell her what to look out for. Across the street, we had a vacant right on the corner, 1155, and the door is open now. There was a time I'd be the first one to call to file a 311 report. Now I put it on those. Hey, there's two of y'all over there. I got half of a block over here to watch myself. I need you to make that phone call.
That's right. But that's the thing. We have to support each other because it's dangerous.
Damn right.
For that one person. I was talking to a friend of mine, you probably know her. She walked through the neighborhood all the time, and she was talking about, it was like a guy, he was thinking people were snitching on him. Right? And
snitching on yourself, dummy.
I know.
You standing on the same corner all day, every day.
That's right. So she was saying, like, he approached her, and she was like, I went at him, because she's like, I'm just through the neighborhood. I'm helping people. I'm going in a corner store buying a soda. I ain't bothering nobody. So to think I'm snitching or somebody looking at, just like you said, you out here all day. Anybody with eyes see you. The police see you. So why somebody got snitch on you? But what I was going with that is this lady doesn't have a car and she's walking through the neighborhood that she grew up in. So if nobody is like protecting her or just been like, let her be. She just a lady. She, she handling her business. She trying to uplift the community. Then that's a dangerous situation. Because the people who are out there speaking up and wanting stuff for their community, then they out on an island. And that's not good.
I've had to have a conversation with drug dealers because the police are not going to fix it. As a matter of fact, I can remember in the mid-90s, the police, when I called the police about the drugs on my block, They say, well, wait, can we use your house to do surveillance? I say, so now you trying to get me killed. I'm just being honest with you. I've had to go to people in the street to clean up our block. Some good, some not so good.
Yeah. But I believe in community agreements, right? Because I just believe that that's a
Me
system
too.
that it's a system that is going to be hard for any of us just to end. But I also feel like if we are in agreement, then I don't want to see you when these kids trying to walk to school, or I don't want to see you when they coming home from school, or we got a few churches in the community. So when Miss Bessie is trying to walk to church, why y'all out there talking about red top, red top, red top, right?
I
So
commend you, sis, for having the boldness.
I just think that if so, that's a whole nother thing about what people are doing in the communities and how the police are engaging. Because part of why the police are kind of like, it's like a double dutch with the police, right? Because what happens is there's some people that are saying, well, why the police not making such and such move? But there's some people that are saying, why are the police bothering those people? Right. So I had a community member call me and said it was some guys, like I say, it was former drug dealers or maybe even still drug dealers, but trying to make legal money. They were out there doing a little car wash up like Baker Street or something like that in Gilmore. And the police were bothering them. Right. So I said, it's two things. Number one, any business, you need a business license. So if you out there selling anything and you don't have a license, it's illegal. So it's very easy to just go downtown and get a $200 business license, right? Can you imagine the face on the police if when they rolled up you had a license? They're not looking for that, right? Because they think you're doing it illegal. That's the second piece. Do you
Or they
really
know your past and they see what you're
right
trying to do and they don't know if it's a front for illegal
that
activity.
that too? So this is what I said. Another piece. Do you really think the police just was like, let me mess with them because they washing a car? No, Miss Jones called the police. So it is people in the community who call the police who then, they're doing their job. Once you call them, they have no choice but to come because now it's on record. And if we go back to Freddie Gray, the reason why they even said anything to Freddie Gray is because somebody called the police. That was it. Somebody called the police. So those guys that was out on that bike, that Western was like, go see what's up with, Freddie Gray, and he was with another guy or something at that time. Somebody called the police. So it's almost like, again, that's why I think it's so important what Tracy Malone and we're all doing with the Sandtown Collective, because there has to be a community agreement. What do we want? We look like we are psychotic. Half of us are saying we want this, half of us are saying this, and then we're trying to hold the city accountable for 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 different things, and we're not even on the same page about what we want. How can they act? And I'm not letting the city off the hook because there is stuff they can do. But what I'm saying is, if you call down there and tell the council person you want X, Y, and Z, and then Miss Such and Such call down and say they want X, Y, and Z, and it's in conflict, what do the city do?
Nothing.
Correct. And that's why it is the way it is.
A part of it.
Yeah, well, that's why I said I'm not letting the city off the hook.
Oh no,
Because
there's another segment I want to ask you about, because if you think better, you do better, and you are helping me, and maybe this is therapeutic for you as well. As you know, I wasn't the biggest fan of No Boundaries initially on, but you hopefully know now that I'm a huge supporter. And you support Black business. But we have these others, what I call vipers, leeches, wannabe nonprofits who write Sandtown in their grant.
mm-hmm.
We're coming to save Sandtown. Some of them are even churches. And when you peel back the layers, you see these people just about the money.
Yeah. So I mean, again, just what I've been
Thank God it
saying.
ain't you. Thank God you legit. You're straight
Yeah.
legit. I know this. But there's so many people, they call me up, hey Donnie, we got a grant to do this in Sandtown. I was like, who authorized that? Who did you talk to? Why are you calling me after the fact? You don't even live here.
And I mean, all of that, but did it get done?
That's what I really call them.
That's what it is. But I mean,
Yours,
if we're
no boundaries, no one has done what no boundaries has done. And I just want to acknowledge Miss Donna Brown. I don't know if she's still a part of that organization, but she was one of the first people to give me some faith in the work that was done there. I met Ray, like I told you, at a Freddie Gray meeting, but I've since seen Ray's love and passion for the community. And there have been others. They don't have to be, but I've seen what has happened with no boundaries under you. Political forums, food, jobs, block captain scholarships. I've seen you give a rat's bottom. I've seen you care, and not from this. And that's what I see these poverty pimps doing. I see you doing the work.
So that's the thing for me. Thank you. But that's the whole thing, going back to why we do things in a certain way. Why we not giving things away? Why we not? Because we're not perpetuating that cycle of waiting for somebody to do it. We are training people to do it. And one of our vision statements is to create a community that thrives on its own. Right? So if you're coming in, you're training people, you're letting the community know you are empowered, and this is how you can do it, and this is how I'm going to incentivize you to do it, or at least this is how I'm going to at least help you to do it. It feels different than some of those grants that people are writing. Right? But yeah, and I take pride on that. I can definitely tell you where all of I think we put like $300 and some thousand on the street last year, as far as grants and stipends and salaries and all of that. So we can definitely tell you where our money goes. I mean, we sent W-2s, 1099, like over 100 and some W-2s and 1099s out in the community last year.
What do you say? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What do you say to the political leaders? There have been those, not those in office now, but there have been people, Black elected officials. Don't get me to name names.
Don't name names, not while I'm on here.
Black political leaders who didn't care nothing about Sandtown. They only come around at election time, if at all.
That's correct. I mean, like when I started doing work in Sandtown, our highest voting poll precinct had like 257 people voted in the election. And they know that. So why would you think about politics and what goes into politics, the door knocking, the spending money? Why am I doing it when nobody gonna vote anyway? When only
they voted for Barack Obama. 2007, the people were out the door at 7 a.m. We got to give them something to vote for.
That's true. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that's what the politicals were saying. They don't vote, and that's why I'm not gonna we're not, spending any time. It's not worth my time. That was their attitude. It's not worth my time. Because politicals, if people do not know, they definitely looking in that system and seeing what are the highest precincts. They are spending time and money.
Votes. They target voters.
Correct. That's
or
right.
super voters.
That's correct.
People who do not miss an election. And that's why voting is so important.
Yeah, it is. And that's why we went on that run with civic culture, because that's the feedback. Oh, people in Sandtown don't vote. Okay, then we're gonna get them to vote. In that first 2016, that first election, we tripled the amount of people that voted over at Lillian Jones. So, again, just going on a run, talking to people, leaving. If I can't get you come to the door, just leaving a thing so scan this barcode so you can learn more about what's going on in the community. Because there's still a lot of people that don't know about the work that's being done in the community.
I am learning all the time. I'm learning all of the time. And I thank you for supporting Tracy Malone and the Sandtown Collective. I knew I couldn't do it by myself, and it makes sense for everybody to contribute. But I'll tell you, the people who caused the most confusion since Freddie Gray were not the young people. Right. It was not young people. It was people who have been playing this nonprofit and grant game for a long time and ain't done nothing.
I know, because it's gatekeeping, it's power mongering,
yeah,
and it's trying to stay relevant. So if it's really hard when the whole game changes, when it gets to the point where it's like, oh no, we're not doing that no more. We doing new things, new people going to be in charge. We're just doing stuff different. That's scary to a lot of people. It's scary to imagine a Sandtown with no vacant houses and where everybody is thriving and where nobody's standing on the corner, where it's not a liquor store on every corner. That's scary to some people.
I know we can't get political, but there are things I've seen in this city under this current mayor, Brandon Scott, that I don't know that he gets any acknowledgement for. And I'm going to keep saying it until the man tells me he's heard me say it himself. Squeegee kids.
Right.
Fox 45 used to wear it out every day. What's the name? Melissa,
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie Frost. Every day she's on him. And to the point where it's tiring. So I guess after they, anyway, kudos to him. I'll tell you something else. And then 7-Eleven last night, 7:11 p.m. last night, I heard it.
Oh, dirt bikes. That's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a tough one.
But it's been curbed. I do see it curbed.
You think it's, not it's early in the, it's early in the summer too. But there's groups, B360, shout out to Brittany. There are groups in the city who is trying to have more awareness around it, trying to talk to the young boys about, being safe with it and how to take some of that inquisitiveness around dirt bikes and mechanic, fixing them up and all of that, and put that into STEM jobs and STEM careers and doing better in school. So I agree. There are so many things that the current mayor has done that he does not get credit for. And
particularly with young people. The one thing I need to see, Councilman Torrance has been talking about this the last couple of times I've seen him in Sandtown. We need a community center. We not just a recreation center. We not just redoing Lillian Jones. We need a community center. We had one. I don't know if you noticed. We had one on Mount Street, 1114 North Mount Street. That's now Sarah's Hope.
Oh,
that was our community center.
What would you want in there?
In a community center?
Yeah.
How about a place to have community meetings like it used to be, for one?
But that can be like inside of like a rec, right? I'm just trying to think of,
because Tracy Malone with the Sandtown Collective, she's gone to a bunch of places to see about getting meeting space. And then some of these people in the community who are there in nonprofit capacities want to charge sister $400 or $500 to have a meeting.
You're right. Yeah.
I'm looking all the way sideways.
What's up with the Salvation Army? Isn't that supposed to be like a community base?
It will be.
Mm-hmm.
It will be. It's sad, and I'm very grateful for them. I've seen only good things with my eyes thus far. but that it took some white people from somewhere else to come to our community and set up shop. I just think in a majority black city, we could have done a lot of this ourselves.
Yeah.
But like Michael Zolikoff has said repeatedly on my show, we don't like poor black people.
That's correct. I mean, part of like the work we do with young people at No Boundaries is teaching them that you should pursue careers that would uplift your community, right? Or that any career, like I have a master, I use that to work in my community. But a lot of people still look to leave, right? And it's some, you know, it's some trauma and stuff like that. So they feel like, you know, once they have whatever that means to get out of here, they want to go.
I want more of us to go to college. I've heard this thing about not everybody made for college. Cut the crap. As soon as that cat go over to jail, he's sitting in a classroom.
That's true. Well, this is what I say.
So you can learn. If you can ride a dirt bike up the avenue, one hand through traffic, maybe you could actually take a college course.
That's right. This is what I say. They have those pages on Facebook where you're looking for black businesses. And people are like, well, I can't find a black dentist and I can't find a black accountant and I can't find. You're not going to have any black anything unless we continue to send our kids to school. If we don't send our kids to college, there won't be any black accountants, doctors, lawyers, psychiatrists, all of those things that we desire to have in our community. It starts with us sending our children to school. If we don't send them to college, we just will not. And it's like, that's just it. If we're not going to college, you cannot be a doctor. You can't be a dentist. You can't be a lawyer. You can't be a judge. All of the things that we need representation in, if we're not sending our children to school, we just can't have it. So if black children aren't going to school, then there will be a time where we're just not represented in the professional fields.
And our parents are not going to the school either. We know all of the Ravens players, but we don't know our children's teacher's name.
Yeah, I mean, there's some work we need to do in our communities. It's some work.
You're real positive and optimistic.
It is.
How can people get in touch with you? How can people learn more about the work that you do in the 7 West Baltimore communities through No Boundaries?
I would say the easiest thing is to go to our website, www.noboundariescoalition.com, and it has everything.
Anything you want to say in conclusion? Thank you for taking time out to make the show. NoBoundariesCoalition.com.
Yes.
Your final thoughts?
No, thank you for having me on here. It's always a pleasure. And we just here, right? We're in the fight.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
If we think better, we do better. Thank you, Ashiah.
It only ends when we get the victory. That's it.
Yeah, it does. Thank you for helping us.
All righty. Thank you.
Good afternoon, world.